points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve hockey show, the Illegal Curve post-game show, to be exact. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I am your host, Drew Mandel, here to talk about the Winnipeg Jets' 4-2 victory over the Calgary Flames, ending the losing streak at 5 games. The Jets back in the win column, improving to 11-7-4 on the 10-7-4 on the season now with tonight's victory. Gentlemen, a game that certainly did not think this was going to be the final result. It was 2-0 Calgary. Most people were saying, here we go again. You could feel the angry mob beginning to gather. And then the Winnipeg Jets, on the strength of a goal in the second period to tie the game, and then 2 late third period goals, end up with the 4-2 victory.
Yeah, absolutely, Drew. And Kyle Connor obviously steps up in a huge way, not only getting the game winner, but that goal at the end of the first period was obviously huge, right? And you mentioned it, 26 seconds in, it almost didn't seem real, guys. We talked about the start on this morning show, right? And you're thinking, okay, the Jets are going to come out with a much better start. And not only was it not a very good start, the Flames actually score much earlier, than the Wild did yesterday afternoon, right, Drew? So, I mean, it couldn't have been a worse start for the Jets, down 2-0 after 7 minutes or whatever it was, right? So, it was a good response, The 5 minute, we got to talk about that, right? Obviously,
there's so much to get through in today's game.
Milan, brickhead Lucic, just decides to it's a dirty hit. It's a 5 minute major all day long. Did
you hear Kevin Bieksa in the intermission?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It didn't make. his comment literally in the intermission didn't make sense. So they asked
said
him
he deserved. He said, "Sorry, Drew. I was going to say Bieksa. I like Bieksa as an analyst, by the way, but he said that he agreed with the call on the ice and he felt Lucic deserved a 5 minute penalty, but then he thought that DeMello could have avoided that hit."
It was it was like the first comment he made, which made sense. It's like he immediately forgot about the first comment and then seconds later came back with a second comment that completely contradicted the first comment. It was a very bizarre sequence from Kevin Bieksa.
Maybe Bieksa's been watching too much Kess's House. I'm not sure. But it was dirty. And, I was going to kind of point to that 5 minute. It didn't end up being a 5 minute power play for the Jets because Neil Pionk took the penalty at the end of the second period. But, that was one of those kind of moments where you're thinking, that could have deflated the momentum that the Jets built up, right? With the Paul Stastny tying goal. So, look at the third period, Calgary had let's get into the third period here, because obviously it was a tie game, and Connor Hellebuyck made some absolutely A+ saves. On Sean Monahan on the power play, like there were several saves that you could point to and say like he kept this a tie game and allowed the Jets to have the opportunity. But give that line credit. Like I realized that not many people expected Scheifele, Connor, and Wheeler to be reunited, but I mean that line was the best line on the ice, and they all three of them had a part in the game-winning goal, right? Wheeler's coming off of the bench. Obviously, Scheifele sets the play up, initially with the zone entry, and then obviously, it looked like it was close to being offside, but clearly on the replay, it wasn't offside. And then Wheeler finds, Kyle Connor, 2 defensemen. I think it was Rasmus Anderson and Noah Hannafin, if I'm not mistaken. They both go to Scheifele, right? So, Connors gets the pass. It wasn't a great pass. The puck was rolling. That was mentioned by Rick Ball on the broadcast, and Kyle Connor still manages to, roof it past Jacob Markstrom. So, all full marks to that line. That's not a line that we necessarily thought we were going to see, guys, at this point in the season, but they stepped up in a big way.
Dave Manouk, your thoughts, I guess some overarching thoughts about tonight's contest before we get into the nitty-gritty details. A massive victory for a Winnipeg Jets team that just looked discombobulated, disinterested yesterday. as he spoke about it, they're down 2-0 within the first 7 minutes and 42 seconds tonight. And you think, is this going to be another 7-1 game? They dug deep and they really, they really fought back over the adversity that had been impacting them for the, for the last week or 10 days.
Well, people, you come to Illegal Curve for our in-depth analysis and our astute observations. So I'm going to give you the biggest one of the night.
Okay, Dave.
It's a 2-2 game with 6 minutes and 45 seconds to go. And the folks in Calgary started doing the wave. As everybody knows, I hate the wave because I hate fun, evidently.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking to myself, why are you doing the wave? It's a 2-2 game. Like, I get that it's a Saturday night and you're excited and you're having a good time, but just seemed like an inopportune time to do the wave. And I
Aren't you supposed to do the wave? Like, isn't that a general rule of thumb that you're supposed to do the wave when you're leading?
Yeah, that's generally the idea, that you're excited. Usually it's like a bigger lead, right? Like you have a 2 or 3 goal lead. So you're feeling like you're rubbing it in a little bit. You're the extra guy on the ice. You're rubbing it into the other team. And then, like, I think I just finished saying the tweet was going on. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, they scored. I thought to myself, well, it's a little bit of karma. So that is going to be my observation tonight. Forget about everything else. Nothing else matters. The wave is cursed. You should never do the wave.
That isn't a new beanie, by the way, Mark. Dave's had that one for a while. It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, it's in fact the only thing I was doing was changing it because it's a little ratted. So I was moving it back. But no, this is an old school one. But anyways, yeah, I have to start with the wave because I just thought it was hilarious that I was just like, oh, the wave, why? And then next thing you know, they score. Now, huge game. Let's go back to the game, of course, and a couple of things. Sure? Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'm still anti-wave.
Yeah, so Drew, I want to hear more about, I want to hear more of Dave's thesis about the wave.
Hey, Dead Oil Tom agrees with me. A lot of people agree with anti-wave sentiments on this show. No, I mean, like, let's call it what it is. It was a huge. I mean, Kyle Connor scoring in that first period to at least half the Calgary lead was important for the Jets for their psyche. You could just see them get a lift, and obviously Connor Hellebuyck was sensational. When Connor Hellebuyck said it's on yesterday or whatever he said after the game in Minnesota, he backed up his words in a big way throughout the course of the game. No bigger save than, was it on Coleman in the second period?
Yeah.
On what looked like an easy tap in, and he makes that save while the Jets are down 2-1, and then Paul Stastny, scores to tie the game. So, I mean, Connor Hellebuyck, full marks for him because he did what we talked about. It's easy to say words in the media, but you have to be able to back it up. And Connor Hellebuyck was sensational. I don't think the high danger chances, I stopped looking. I were talking about it in the third, but they were definitely double in Calgary's favor. Last I looked, it was 12-6 in favor of Calgary, and scoring opportunities.
That's where it ended. High danger at 5-on-5 ended 12-6 in Calgary's favor.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Connor Hellebuyck was excellent, and he made some saves that were sensational in addition to the one I mentioned. So to me, that is where you have to start this game, because it very easily could have gone off the rails. And Drew used the word fortitude for the Jets. They be able to find it and come back. I mean, guys, they didn't exactly beat a slouch of a team. I think Calgary had won 5 in a row or 4 in a row since they, and they were feeling good and they were rested and they were ready for the Jets. And the Jets are coming in remember, this is a back-to-back for Winnipeg, playing the best team in the Western Conference at home who have been rested. And, you could say, I mean, I'm sure Paul Maurice is going to say you expected that from the first. Like, it's funny. The message always changes, right? If you expect a good first period after a back-to-back, if you have a good first period. If you don't, well, you're like, well, our legs are a little tired. But then they get going again. So regardless, full marks to Connor Hellebuyck, because I think he was the first, second, and third star for the Jets. But then you had other guys step up, right? Kyle Connor, he continued to do it. As he was talking about Nate Schmidt when we were watching it, like, I thought he had a good game. And there were a lot of guys who were bearing down, and that was key. And you saw it, right? Defensively, guys getting back, hustling to get back. Although it was comical at one point, because I was like, did Mark Scheifele just take a 2-minute shift? Like, I was like, what is he doing? Get off the ice. Like, it was funny because we talked to Mark Morrison today, not going to do a Moose minute. Although the way it was looking early, I was like, this might be a Moose hour today, because folks might want a lot of Moose talk. But Mark Morrison, one of the keys he talked about why they were having success on the penalty kill was how short the shifts are to keep their guys fresh. And I thought to myself, Mark, and then the best is when on the screen in the TV, they're playing the clock for how long Mark Scheifele was. So anyways, all in all, to have Connor Hellebuck play the way he did, to have the team bounce back, to have the team get that win, they're off tomorrow, but they're going to be feeling good about themselves, knowing that they've got 7 of 10 at home, starting with Arizona.
Well, and not to get
nice.
Yeah, not to get ahead of tonight's win, but they have to, you get the victory. You feel good about yourself. Mark Scheifele, I'm reading through our buddy Mike McIntyre on Twitter, said, Scheifele, the quote is, "We all put on our big boy pants tonight." And they did. I mean, it took them, they may not have been wearing them for the first 10 minutes of the game. And Connor Hellebuck may have been wearing multiple pairs of the big boy pants.
They might have had to change their pants a few times when they were down 2-0.
Exactly.
That's what I tell Ruben Drew. I tell him to put on his big boy pants, and then I realize Daddy's not wearing pants at all. So I kind of understand sometimes why he doesn't want to wear his diaper. So
yeah, I can understand exactly where you're coming from with that sentiment there. As in, we're always surprised when you are wearing pants. So that's a good thing, I think. And we're glad that the camera is only from chest up here on the Illegal Curve post game show. We say good evening to everybody. Thank you so much for everyone joining us on this Saturday evening.
I see late night.
Almost Sunday morning, exactly right. Late night Illegal Curve post-game show. Smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. The Jets, as I was going to say, and we'll talk more about Monday's game later on in the post-game, they have to back up this win now with another victory on Monday. You can't fall back into bad habits. But
Drew, I told you on the morning show, they've already got that win.
You've said that a few times, and we know your prognostication skills aren't anything to write home about. But I think what you noticed in certainly after the first, say, 10 minutes of this game, the Jets got crisper for whatever reason. That the passes that hadn't been clicking for the first since really that second period of the Pittsburgh game started to click, and they were able to get just a little bit. No, that's not to say Calgary wasn't the better of the two teams, because I think largely they were, and Connor Hellebuck was a big reason. Some would say the only reason the Jets won tonight. But I did think the Jets, you could sort of see that the passes were better, that the passes were quicker. The team was transitioning out of their own zone a little bit better for whatever reason. And who knows why it all of a sudden sort of clicks back. They looked better in the latter half of that first period. And then Kyle Connor obviously gets that huge goal. To be down after 20 minutes 2-1 instead of 2-0 is a huge psychological boost for this team.
Yep.
And then, of course, they get the 2-2 goal off the stick of Paul Stastny. And what's that goal? That's not a pretty goal. There's no Harlem Globetrotters in that goal. Doesn't even look like there should be an opportunity there. He crashes the net. The puck is a little bit loose. I mean, you watch the replay and you can't really see that it's available there. But he goes to the dirty area and he shoves it in, and it's a 2-2 game. And all of a sudden, it's a brand new ball game. But that being said, I mean, almost what was as impressive to me for the Jets is that when they were down, when it was 2-2, and they got the 5-minute power play off the Lucic hit, and the power play was terrible because, well,
the Lucic mugging.
Yeah, the power play was just ineffective because that's apparently the Jets' power play is ineffective.
Calgary's got a good PK though too, Drew.
Yeah, but the Jets, I mean, you got a 5-minute power play. You need to do more with that power play. Aside from after the first minute of that power play, the Jets really had trouble gaining the zone and really
it was hard to watch.
Anything.
It was absolutely hard to watch. They had no zone time, no possession, and obviously, that's a Calgary, wants to kill that penalty off for Lucic. Obviously, not because it wasn't the right call on the ice, but you just knew that was a critical part of the game. You're right. And, Kyle Connor's first goal wasn't pretty either, right? Like, that's just him going to the net. Like, the Jets are way too talented to be a team that loses 5 games in a row, right? Like, we knew that. Like, some of these losses have been worse than others. Obviously, the Minnesota loss, I don't think many people are going to argue, guys, that wasn't the worst loss of the year, right? But, I thought, we talked about, the Connor Scheifele Wheeler line being reunited. Something that, we didn't necessarily expect at this point in the season. But, you look at that third line, I guess if you want to call it the third line, Lowry, Stastny, and Wheeler. And, Lowry,
Stastny, and Ehlers.
Sorry, pardon me. That's what I meant to say. Lowry, Stastny, and Ehlers. See, Drew, I'm getting confused. My mind is a blender. I thought that that line, the Lowry line, was really solid. Like, not just the second goal that tied up the game. But like, I just thought that, they had some good shifts. I was talking about the fourth line with Dave, like Harkins had a decent scoring chance. I thought he had some jump in his step. Like that fourth line is, as we know, I mean, there have been so many different players on that fourth line. I mean, I'm not saying that the fourth line was dominant. Look, this was not a pretty win. The Jets hung around, tied the game up. It was a tie game. And then that was just an opportunistic goal with Wheeler coming off the bench. And then, Scheifele making a nice pass to Connor. And obviously we know that Connor, he most of the time will bury that, even if the pass was, rolling, right? We talked about that. It was a little bit of the old knuckle puck, right? So, I mean, the line combinations, I don't think are going to stay this way, guys. But for tonight, they worked. And, Drew, you mentioned kind of that desperation and how, the Jets were passing and everything about their game became crisper and sharper. Mm-hmm. I agree. And so this was one of those team efforts. Connor Hellebuyck obviously gets the first star. I don't know if he actually got the first star in the game, but
he did. He had the third star in the game.
Well, he should get the first star.
It was Kyle Connor got the first star. Elias Lindholm had the second star, and Connor Hellebuyck was the third star. I don't know who picked the 3 stars tonight, just for the record.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, les trois étoiles, they don't really matter a ton. But the point being that, the saves that Hellebuyck made in tight, like we mentioned, the Blake Coleman save in the second period, the Sean Monahan save, and then there was a rebound in tight. Like he made half a dozen to 10 really quality saves. And we should start calling Connor Hellebuyck Mark Messier, because basically he guaranteed that win in so many words, right? He didn't say, I guarantee we're going to win, obviously. But when Hellebuyck says that, and then he backs it up, right, Drew? He backed it up tonight.
I'm sure Connor Hellebuyck, Dave, was a little bit sick about hearing about how great Jacob Markstrom has been all year. And not to say that Jacob Markstrom hasn't been terrific all year, but I'm sure, we know, when goalies were weird. We had John Mattis on, this morning talking about his podcast. Goalies look for motivation wherever they can find them. Players look for motivation wherever they can find them. Connor Hellebuyck, I'm sure, has been saying, thinking to himself, I've been playing some lights out hockey as of late, yesterday notwithstanding, and we haven't necessarily been getting the results as of late. And so everyone's talking about, Jacob Markstrom, everyone's talking about all these other great goaltenders. I'm going to put on a bit of a performance. And then he had to do that after what he said yesterday, after the post-game comments yesterday. He had to, and he knows this, he has to be, if not the best player on the ice, then certainly one of the Jets, top 2 or top 3 players. And I would argue that he was the best player for the Jets, that if he doesn't play in the manner in which he played, they do not win. And the Jets don't need to apologize for that. They have a great goaltender. They can celebrate that. And Connor Hellebuyck was that great goaltender. The Jets got to that magic 3-goal mark, where if they score 3 goals in a game this year, I believe their record is now 10-1-1, if I'm not mistaken. I believe the only loss the OT loss would have been the one in Minnesota.
You're good,
I'm not even
That's
sure
right.
what the regulation loss would have been. I'd have to look back and rack my brain, but it's a little too late for me to do that right now. But whatever it is, this Jets team got the victory off the back of their goaltender when they absolutely had to have it. And he backed up his words. And Paul Stastny, who also spoke post-game yesterday, and you know how Stastny speaks. He's not as fiery as Hellebuyck is, but he gets a goal. So the guys who spoke yesterday about needing to...
Now everybody wants to talk to the media.
The guys who spoke...
if Mark Scheifele scores on Monday, they might become a thing.
Yeah, you never know. But this is just why it was so important for the Jets. Their players that needed to stepped up, and as a result, that's just absolutely massive for a team that was in desperate need of a victory. And I should say, actually, that the 3 stars for tonight's game, I do know who picked them. Pat Steinberg of the Sportsnet Fan 960.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Apparently, they put that on the game summary sheet. I didn't even realize that.
I hope not. I don't like that, because I pick the 3 stars a lot. We might get some tar and feathers if that became known.
Maybe that's a Calgary thing and not a Winnipeg thing. We'll have to look back.
I know it's not.
Dave actually just writes David Gustafsson 1, 2, 3. Like he's filled that out for the rest of the season, and he handed that into finger.
I did pick the 3 stars for the Moose today, but I do that every game, so that's not really that one won't be a surprise. The Jets one we do, not as often, but we do it.
I feel like when I'm at the games, because you're at more games than I am, I feel like when I'm there, then they give it to us a little bit, because they know that 2's better than 1.
Yeah. We like to do it in consultation usually.
Yeah. And
If you don't
usually
like
whatever my suggestions are,
if
you
you
don't
don't like
listen,
the
but-
Moose 3 stars and you have a right, then you can pick a bone with me because you'll have a bone to pick with me because that would be me, myself, and Irene.
And we'll talk more about the Moose game, of course, later
Yep.
on after the. Not yet. Don't bring out the antlers just yet. I know you're eager. You give us a couple minutes.
No, there's too much joy in Joyland, as old coach Claude Noel used to say. So you're not going to steal that thunder from Jets fans. Although a Moose and Jets win on the same day as well as the Ice, I think they've won their 300,000th game in a row. So every Winnipeg team wins on Saturday night. That makes for a good evening in Winnipeg.
There you go. Well, exactly right. I mean, a huge win for the Winnipeg Jets. They actually improve. Had they lost tonight, they would have officially fallen out of a playoff spot in the Western Conference. They, in fact, leapfrog back into third spot in the Central Division with tonight's victory, although the Colorado Avalanche are right behind them with games in hand. But that being said, the Jets, a point behind the St. Louis Blues now, and just they need, for a team that was in desperate need of good vibes. You're in the midst of this. What is it? 7 games in 11 days and
800,000 time zones.
Yeah, all traveling here, there, and everywhere. You know that coming home against Arizona on Monday, they didn't want to have to face the same questions. And so now that losing streak is over, they can, to some extent, turn the page. That being said, I don't think that everything was so perfect in tonight's contest that you can wipe the slate clean. You need to sort of keep some of that sour taste in your mouth a little bit, and that's why that's where coaching is going to have to come into play for Monday's game. You're going to make sure that you celebrate the victory tonight. Look, they've had the burden of the losing streak on their shoulders. You celebrate getting that burden removed from your shoulders, not Mikkel, but the Burden. But you still need to know that this was not our game. This was not crisp. This was not the way they've looked against Edmonton. This is not the way they've looked when they are at their best. And they need to channel that on Monday against the Coyotes, Ezzy. And
yeah, absolutely. And
for the sake of the post-game show, pretending that
the minus 38 goal differential Arizona Coyotes,
and the one that Ezzy's already guaranteed a victory.
Well, hey, Hellebuck guaranteed a win. In not so many words, he guaranteed a win tonight in Calgary. So I'm going to give you the Ginsburg guarantee that the Jets beat the Coyotes. Why? Because the Coyotes, the word "awful" doesn't even begin to describe the Coyotes. I realize they've won a few games.
7-2 Arizona win.
No, it's not going to happen. Ginsburg guarantee the Jets are going to win. Look, Dave mentioned this early. I think the fact that you're right, Drew. I mean, desperation is a stinky cologne, as the saying goes, right? And they were desperate. And I think that 2-goal lead
was body odor.
Yes, body odor is definitely also stinky. It almost seemed like that 2-goal lead, motivated them even more, right? Like they started, as you said earlier, Drew, I agree. Like this game, you wouldn't say, the Jets were dominant or by any stretch of the imagination. Calgary's a good team. We talked about it on this morning show, right? Like they hadn't played since Tuesday, right? So the Flames were well rested. But when you consider everything that was going against the Jets, right? Not only the losing streak, but second game of a back-to-back, down 2-0, everything like that. I think it is really impressive. And it's not season defining. Like I kind of hate that stuff. Like when you say that 1 game or 2 games are season defining.
If they had lost badly tonight,
you can't understate this, Drew. This is a very important win because I agree with you. You don't want to go back home having lost now 6 games in a row and things are even worse. So this is huge, just for the team's psyche alone.
Well, if they were down when they were down 2-0, and it was very early in tonight's game, and you're thinking, here we go again. I'm not saying that it's necessarily season defining, but boy, oh boy, it would have been an absolute, the temperature would have turned up to about 450 degrees.
Yeah, the mercury was rising.
Yeah, it was rising, and it was rising quickly because it was rising pretty high up there after last night's debacle in St. Paul. And then you come out and you're down 2-0 and you're thinking, oh man, where is the pushback? Where's the pride? And then the pride showed up. I mean, the pride showed up. Kyle Connor, a world-class goal scorer, sort of just, the puck finds him in a good spot, and he's able to do what world-class goal scorers typically do, but what the Jets have had trouble doing for the last 5 games. He gets it done. Paul Stastny knows what he needs to do. He goes to those dirty areas. He ties that game. It's 2-2. I mean, just to get to that 2-2 mark is almost a success. Had the Jets lost this game, even getting to that 2-2 mark, let's say Calgary scores late in the third period, we saw it happen. I think back to last year, and it's the bubble and everything was, got a bit of an asterisk next to it. But you remember the losing streak last year, and the Jets went into Ottawa and they lost to the Senators after, I think they tied the game relatively in the third period at some point, and people were thinking, okay, maybe they're going to get out of this. And then Ottawa scored the game-winning goal with about 30 seconds to go. It was a very, very limited time left on the ice, and it extended the Jets' losing streak by another game. Then the Jets went into Calgary and won 2 nights later and ended the losing streak at that point in time. And then, of course, the playoffs began shortly thereafter. Just the fact that Jets were able to fight back into tonight's game told me that they were coming out of it, that they were coming out of looking absolutely inept on the ice, because they're not an inept team. Whatever problems you might have with the coaching, and I have problems with the coaching many times, and whatever problems you might have with the lineup decisions, and I have problems with the lineup decisions, they're not as bad as they looked on Friday in St. Paul, and you saw the signs that the Jets were coming out of that, particularly in that second period, Dave.
Yeah, I mean that like I said to you earlier in the show, I think that to me was again, you're not going to celebrate this win or you're not going to hold this win up as some sort of example of what you need to do, because this win goes back to the days of Connor Hellebuyck stealing points for you.
Yes,
which is
it
what
looked like a win from a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But the truth is, at the end of the day, you've erased the narrative of a losing streak. You've removed that stink of the way the team was playing. And again, you're going to be off tomorrow. You're going to have you don't have a tough schedule. You play Monday and Friday and Sunday. So you have good spacing between your first 3 games at home. You're going to have you can throw everything at Arizona, try and pump them, really set yourself up. I'm sure they'll have another day off, maybe Tuesday, whatever. I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule. It hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet. Tomorrow it'll come out.
So
Tuesday makes a lot of sense, Dave, because you only had 1 day between this game and the next game, right?
That's right. And so then you'll take Tuesday off. You can get ready Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the Devils. And then
you got the Leafs on Sunday.
And then you got the Leafs, which is a good game. It sets itself up to be a good game. But like you're gonna and look, the Jets have played well at home. I mean, that's the one thing they have going for them, is that they have been a good home team. So from a Winnipeg perspective, we talked about it. Like if you could get a win, it doesn't erase all the crap that happened on this road trip. And there's a lot of crap, and there's a lot that the Jets need to fix, and there's a lot that the coaching staff has to fix. Like again, it doesn't erase everything. It's not suddenly all rainbows and what goes with rainbows?
Unicorns.
Sunshine. Unicorns. Ponies.
Pot of gold.
Gumdrops. Lollipops.
You know that unicorns aren't real, right, Drew?
What?
You know that unicorns aren't real.
What?
Okay, get back to me. Forget about Ezzy. The point is that this team will need to figure some things out. They're going to have to reconfigure the lines. I mean, we saw the fourth line playing. What a shocking notion that was, an interesting configuration of the fourth line. But that to me was just kind of, there's some things that need to be worked on. Is Ehlers right? Like, is Ehlers 100%? I mean, Murat had an interesting observation about him, about the way he's been playing and whether he's at 100%. Sometimes he took some of those one-timers he looked like he was fine, but him dropping down to the third line, with Nikolai Ehlers, does that really make a lot of sense? So there's some things that need to be worked on.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's amazing what a win can do, right? Like I said, and you can go in and play Arizona and you can really build your confidence. If the Ginsburg guarantee comes to fruition, but seriously, you could feel really good about your game, and it's amazing what that can do, right?
But
you
have to have the attention to detail. You have to have that attention to detail.
Well, of course, you can't play a loose game on Monday and beat them like 6-3. That doesn't look good either. So
and the Jets know that. Like
you can't take tonight's game and think everything's fine and then expect to just be able to coast through.
They won't.
The Ginsburg guarantee notwithstanding, the Coyotes are a team that still plays with pride. They're not good. Everybody knows that. I mean, they've got 4 wins. They can't score and they give up way too many goals. But if you don't treat your opponent with respect, then it's going to bite you in the behind. And the Jets need to.
I feel like that could be a 7-1 Jets win.
Drew, that doesn't sound.
It's going to be a drubbing.
Drew, that doesn't sound very right to me.
No, it's wrong.
Alrighty. On that note, let's take a break. You two are going to work on your comedy, hopefully.
It's 10 after 12, and we've done 3 post-game shows in the last 4 days.
Make sure people smash that like button, Drew. Come on.
Exactly. Everybody stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Smash the like button. We got the Manuk Moose Minute on the other side of the break. We got some giveaways. We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and we'll read you the quote, if you've missed it, from Brady Tkachuk about Brendan Lemieux, because you don't want to miss this quote. I will read it with all the dramatics that I know how to do from my years of acting school. I've taken no acting classes in my life. Much more to come. You're listening, you're watching, you're chatting. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
Whoa, Ezzy, why are you so happy?
I just crushed 2 fresh Bagel Smith bagels with schmear. They're open on Jets home game nights until puck drop.
Didn't you have Bagel Smith for lunch too?
Yes, I did. What's your point?
Come on, Bagel Boy, let's go to the game.
Bagel Smith is Winnipeg's first and only Montreal-style bagel shop located at 185 Carlton Street. Visit bagelsmith.ca.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
Whether it's watching the game with friends, pizza night with the family, or date night for 2, this holiday season, give the gift of special occasions. Get a free $10 promo card when you buy a $50 gift card from Boston Pizza. Because nobody regifts pizza.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. It's Sunday morning. I am Drew Mandel. Dave Manook is in the top right. Ezra Ginsburg's in the bottom middle. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show talking about the Winnipeg Jets. 4-2 victors tonight over the Calgary Flames. The Jets come back from a 2-0 deficit. They rattle off 4 straight goals, including the game-winning goal off the stick of Kyle Connor with 4 minutes and 51 seconds to go, followed by an Andrew Kopp empty netter. It's an unexpected victory for the Jets. They end their 5-game losing streak. They feel better about themselves as the road trip comes to an end, and they head home Monday night to face the Arizona Coyotes. Note the start time of Monday's game. 6:30 is puck drop on Monday for the Jets and the Coyotes, which means the post-game show will be right around, let's say, 9 o'clock, maybe a couple minutes after 9 o'clock. So a little bit earlier of a start time on Monday for the Jets and the Coyotes. I'm sure it's because of the palpable excitement that'll be just riveting through the city as everybody gets ready for that epic showdown of Jets 1.0 and Jets 2.0.
Why is 6:30, Drew? Like, if you want to make it earlier, because obviously games in Winnipeg are usually at 7. Like, I'm curious to know why it's 6:30 and not 6.
Because it's a Sportsnet game on Monday. It's one of their Rogers hometown hockey games, and the Jets and the Coyotes are being broadcast, I think, just to the western part of the country, and then the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not even sure who the Habs are playing, but they're playing somebody else, and that's more of the national game that's going out, I guess, to a wider audience, and they want both games starting at the same time. Like I said, I mean, it's the Jets and the Coyotes. I'm not sure who has much interest in that outside of the people here in Winnipeg, Jets fans that are outside of Winnipeg, and 3 very lonely Coyote fans in the southern United States.
It's the relocation bowl.
It's the relocation bowl. That is very, very well said, Mr. Ginsburg. Mr. Manook, it's the time that you've been waiting for. It's the time that everybody's been waiting for. Put the antlers on and talk about the Manitoba Moose. It's the Manook Moose Minute.
Whoa, did you do some sort of different inflection tonight? Like, what's going on?
I tried to throw my voice a little bit there.
That was
we need some music, because that was a perfect opportunity for theme music there.
I'm gonna get an intro made. I'm gonna get Moose. Yeah, I'm gonna get an intro made. It's just gonna be a giant picture of Dave's head for 30 seconds, just saying moose, 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 moose over and over and over again until people run away screaming from the screen.
Well, why would they run away screaming?
Drew's usually not funny, but that was hilarious. I'll give you that one, Drew.
I'm funnier at 20 minutes past midnight.
Well, let's get into the Moose. Manook, Moose. Well, I mean, I can't do it. I can't. Do you want to start it again, or
I want you to put the antlers on?
I don't want to put the antlers on.
You have to look. We're going to cancel this segment unless you're wearing the antlers. Thank you. Put them on now. You can talk about the Moose.
Yeah, but then the problem is it's very constricting.
That's your problem. That's not my problem. Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Okay. Well, anyways,
the Manook Moose Minute's almost up, Drew.
Yeah, I know. Holy Dinah. So the Moose came into today's game, and they were going to go with the 11-7 configuration again because they have so many D prospects, Jets draft picks who are playing D. So as a result, getting Simon Lundmark, 2019 second rounder in, they've kept him in by going with the 11-7 configuration, which also does allow for guys like Cole Perfetti, David Gus, and CJ Cease to get some more shifts playing with the 2 guys on that 4th line, which gives them an opportunity. But it was an interesting game. Texas came out with some speed. The Moose PK, I know the Jets PK is atrocious, but the Moose PK is anything but. They started off the game, coming into the game 3rd. They killed all 4 penalties that they took in the game. So they actually crept up to 2nd, and they're fractions of a percentage point behind Syracuse Crunch for the top penalty kill unit in the AHL. A lot of that has to do with the effort these guys give. The defensemen usually play very positionally sound. David Gustafson, Christian Reichel, like I said, they're like the Adam Lowry, Andrew Kopp of the AHL for the Moose. And Gustafson, and I know I'm driving the bus. I'm trying not to let the bus drive without brakes, so I got to pump it a little bit. But he, again, he does the little things right. He blocks a shot, takes a real hard shot off the leg, but still the first guy to hustle to get that puck and get it out of the Moose zone and really nullify an opportunity for Texas. to get set up and establish something or try. They don't have the best power play. I think they're 23rd ranked power play in the AHL. So not a great power play with Texas. And then they start getting it done on the offensive side. Cole Perfetti scores his 5th goal of the season, I think. So that was it. It was really nice stop by Austin Baganski, who stole the puck along the wall, got it over to Gustafson, who one-touched passed it over to Perfetti, and Perfetti is not going to make a mistake being that in tight. So he beat UND goaltender Shields, and so not
Adam Shields.
Yeah, but I was curious because someone, and I thought of it, and someone asked me, I didn't know the answer though, is whether he was connected to the Shields. He's from Ohio, but whether he's connected to the Shields department store, which is based out of Grand Forks. He is not, according to our boy Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald, who I asked, and he answered, of course, and said there's no relation. So there's actually could have been like a UND alumni game, because there were probably like 6 guys on the ice or connected to these teams who were who played for UND at some capacity.
By the way, Drew, did this just become the Manuk Big Box Minute?
I'll be perfectly honest. I've completely tuned him out. I'm just reading the Brady Tkachuk quote because it's so amazing, and I can't wait to get to it.
I'll try and get back. But anyway, so the reality was 1-0 after 1. Then Johnny Kovacevic, the 2017 third rounder, he came in kind of a broken play. Evan Polai pushed the puck back, and then Kovacevic shot it at the net. Ended up going in. So that was his, I think, 4th goal of the year, which ties his career high, which he set in his rookie season, and he did it in like 20 fewer games. So that's really good. He's continuing his development. Mobile, big, he fought off a check, got the puck on net. He's smart, he's mobile, and he's a right shot defenseman. So you're going to see him in the NHL sooner rather than later. If there's a need to, from an injury perspective, he'll be your guy from on the right side. And then
there was a question, Dave, from somebody in the chat who wants to know if the Moose play the same sort of passive penalty kill style that the Jets do.
They do the box. They do a 4-man box sometimes, but they're a little bit more aggressive, and in theory they do, but I would suggest that they're probably more positionally sound and they're a little more aggressive than the Jets are. So, and they probably have they probably have better penalty killers overall. From, like looking at the, the competition, I'm saying, obviously, like I wouldn't say that you take the 4 unit and move it. Well, maybe you could actually, but anyways, I was thinking like if you really need to be aggressive, you could bring Christian Reichel up to pair him with David Gustafson. Anyways, they're not going to do that. I'm joking. But and CJC finished off a nice Austin Baganski, he's heated up. I was kind of surprised because he looked good in preseason, and you almost thought he could be an option as a 13th forward for the Jets. And then he just was really slow, didn't really do much to start the season with Manitoba, but he's got 2 goals, 8 assists in his last 9 games for the Moose. So he's been on a bit of a roll. And then CJC's finished it off.
Speaking of UND, right?
Exactly. He's one of the UND guys I was talking about. And then CJC's
like
made
the
it 3-0.
voice of God just emerged out of Ezzy's mic. Like, what the hell?
And then and then Mikkel Burton actually played. He deserves merit because he hasn't had a great season, but I actually thought Mikkel Burton actually had a really nice game. He was very solid. Only got beat 1 time. Kind of an unusual play on a 2-on-1 that the Texas player lost the handle, and I think Burton was expecting a pass, so he started to go off his post. Anyways, 3-1, and then Evan Polai put it into the empty net to make it 4-1. So the Moose are rolling. I think they're 6-2-0 at home, and they've finished up this 5-game series tomorrow. Really good crowd too. I think that was one of the things that the players talked about, and Mark Morrison, the head coach, talked about after the game, because I asked them about it, but they didn't volunteer that. But they did talk about how good the crowd was, because it was probably 5,000-6,000 people, and it was like I said, it's funny. I know people talk about the environment of a Jets game, but the Moose kill it because it's all kids. And so whether the score is 5-0 for the Moose or they're down 5-0, kids are just excited and they're having a good time. And I mean, you can tell, right? They're
Dave signing autographs for all the children.
Oh yeah, I'm signing. I'm just dropping. I'm dropping it from the press box. Here you go.
Right.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. But anyway, so the point is that the kids are having a great time. It was a good environment. A lot of people were having fun, and they saw a Moose win.
Yeah, I was going to say too, Moose. The Moose. I just called Dave Moose. Is Dave just going to now be referred to as Moose?
I'm fine with that.
Hey, I would take that nickname. That's a good nickname.
It worked for Messier, right?
Yeah, Moose Manuk over here on the Illegal Curve postgame show.
I was just going to throw in, Dave nailed it too. Like, I haven't been to a Moose home game as a fan in a while. Eventually I'll take my kids if they start behaving. But
they're doing their own post game show right now and saying the same thing about their dad. We'll eventually take him to a Moose game if he starts behaving.
Who knows what Ruben's dreaming of? He's dreaming of ways that he can, new ways that he can annoy me tomorrow. Just absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that this kid does. But I guess he's like me in a way, right? But I just wanted to say too, the Moose do an excellent job with their game production. And we've seen so many, the specialty nights and everything like that, right? And yeah, you're right, Dave. I mean, the Jets obviously are, talking about, the big boy pants. The Jets are the big boys, but the Moose don't take a back seat in terms of, the experience going to a game. And obviously we've been able to give out some free tickets, and we're going to give out some more free tickets for the, I believe, December 10th and 11th. I forget who they play.
Yep. Grand Rapids.
That weekend. They play Grand Rapids, so Detroit's farm team. So yeah, I mean, it's still just awesome, especially for, kids. It's affordable, so it's awesome.
I think Will was the one. Did Will have the tickets for today, right?
I believe he did, if I'm not mistaken.
So
sounds right.
Will got tickets today. We had a lot of people email me and message us on Twitter and stuff like that. So, I mean, we love it. We're happy to give away the tickets. And like I said, they're awesome seats. So you can just look up at me. I'll be right across from you. You're in 118. I'll just be the guy in the press box going like this the entire time.
Just constantly
until you wave back. And Will's saying, thank you, Dave. You're welcome.
Yes.
Although Will's not Will isn't his first name. I'm not going to break his anonymity, but I know it's not Will.
And I hope his last name is not. Anyways, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
This
is a family program, Drew.
Even at 12:25 in the morning, there's certain things I'm just not going to say, and that's one of them. Let's talk about just quickly before we wrap it up, because, well, like I said, it is 12:25. What the Brady Tkachuk and Brendan Lemieux interaction from earlier today. So, in case you missed it, Brendan Lemieux was ejected from the game between the Kings and the Senators for biting Brady Tkachuk, and he bit him. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about him. He took a good Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield chomp out of Brady.
I think
Tkachuk.
On both hands. Too.
I was gonna say, I think he bit him on both hands.
Yeah.
Well, in for a dime, in for a dollar. When it comes to cannibalism, that's what I always say. So,
I think I just snorted on that one, Drew.
I was gonna say, let's just. Here's the quote from Brady Tkachuk. This is the one time I'm going to answer this, said Tkachuk. It was the most gutless thing somebody could ever do. This guy, speaking of Lemieux, you can ask any one of his teammates. Nobody ever wants to play with him. This guy is a bad guy and a bad teammate. He focuses on himself all the time. The guy's just a joke. He shouldn't be in the league. The guy's gutless. No other team wants him. He's going to keep begging to be in the NHL, but no other team is going to want him. He's an absolute joke. I can't even wrap my head around it. People don't even do this. He's just a bad guy. It's outrageous. Kids don't even do that anymore. Babies do that. I don't even know what he was thinking. He's just a complete brickhead. He's got nothing up there. Bad guy, bad player, but what a joke he is. Brady Tkachuk on Brendan Lemieux in one of the all-time great quotes from about one player talking about another.
Did Brady Tkachuk murder Brendan Lemieux verbally?
He might murder him next time they're on the ice. It's fortunate that the Kings and the Senators probably don't play again for a long time. I don't even know how when they play again this year. If they do, maybe this is their second game against one another. But if it's not, I look forward to Brady Tkachuk going to try and absolutely destroy Brendan Lemieux. Brendan Lemieux is a moron, for the record, in case anybody was curious. The Jets were all too happy to have him out of the dressing room.
He wasn't somebody that factored in Drew at all for the Jets. Like, he was an afterthought. And you're right. I mean, he wasn't somebody that. It's not like Brendan Lemieux got traded and people were surprised or upset or anything like that. Like, nobody really cared. I mean, like, look at Brendan Lemieux's dad was a Conn Smythe winner. He was a legitimate NHL goal scorer who won 2 Stanley Cups because he won one with Montreal. Mm-hmm. He won 2 or 3. No, he won 3 because he won one with Colorado, right? And then he won one with the Devils. So he actually won 3. He is not anything close to his dad. I mean, it's what he does on the ice. I mean, we saw, and look, you can go back to the OHL, and he did some stupid stuff as a junior. He did some stupid stuff with Winnipeg. He was doing this stuff with the Rangers. Like, basically, he is doing whatever he can to stay in the NHL. I'm not talking about the biting incident. I'm talking about just the way he plays fighting or hitting or anything like that, but he's dirty. So yeah, I mean, like, he's not going to be in the NHL much longer if he keeps this up, and he should be suspended. I don't know if he will be or for how long. And Kelly Rudy on the broadcast tonight, said that he should be suspended for 5 games. Think about it with COVID still a factor, right? Like, COVID isn't gone, and you should not. And it's stupid regardless. Drew, all I'm saying is you should know. Like, I mean, you don't bite someone else. You don't bite another human being. And this is the captain. Like, this is not. And it wouldn't be right if he did it against, a fourth line guy. This is Brady Tkachuk, one of their best players. Like, it is a joke, and he is a moron.
For the record, Drew, just so you know, this was the last game they played this season.
Too bad. Maybe they
just played each other.
Might be Brendan Lemieux's last game in the NHL.
Maybe they can play each other. Well, if the Kings have any credibility as an organization, they might want to also layer a punishment on top of it. It's not like losing Brendan Lemieux is going to hurt your lineup or hurt your dressing room or anything. This is a guy who's, certainly didn't last in Buffalo long because he was part of the trade to Winnipeg. The Jets couldn't wait to get him out of here. He was involved in the Kevin Hayes trade. Was it Lemieux in the first for Kevin Hayes? Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah, so he didn't last in New York long, and New York shipped him off pretty quickly to LA. There's got to be, something. There's a little smoke. I think when there's smoke, there's fire. When it comes to Brendan Lemieux and how his teammates enjoy him or don't enjoy him, and
when you can piss off Eric Comrie, you know that you're a real shit disturber.
Well, yeah,
I remember seeing Eric Comrie leave practice a couple of times with the Moose, and I thought to myself, I don't think I've ever seen him not happy. Like, it's very unusual, and then. Sure enough, turns out Brendan Lemieux was somewhat involved. So
one more thing on Brendan,
and we don't even have to talk about his political affiliations that he's quite.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't really care about his political affiliations. Who cares about that? That's his own.
I think that's another layer. I think
the hockey show
problem.
One thing about Brendan Lemieux, though, I should mention, though, like, he was a pretty prolific goal. Like, he scored. I just went back and checked because I wanted to make sure that I got the number right. He scored 19 goals in with the Moose before he got called up by the Jets that year. What was that, 4 years ago or something like that? He has 4 goals this year. So again, I mean, I'm not saying that he's he
can't get out of his own way.
But I'm just saying exactly, like, he takes penalties and he takes bad penalties. He does stupid stuff like this, and I mean, he could cost himself a job in the NHL. Obviously, I was being tongue in cheek. I don't think this is his last game in the NHL, but I mean, he's not exactly a guy, that other teams are clamoring to acquire. So, I mean, just going back to what you said, Drew, that was an amazing quote. And Brady Tkachuk just absolutely murdered him verbally.
It's true. He absolutely destroyed him. Alrighty, boys. It is crossed the 12:30 a.m. mark. Ezzy,
do we have a show tomorrow? Like, what's going on?
Ezzy, you got some giveaways to do. Let's give away some bagels, give away a toque, and then we can wrap up and go to bed and not talk to each other for solid, not even 48 hours.
Yeah, let's absolutely try it. Let's not only should we not talk to each other, let's just pretend that we don't exist. Okay, Drew?
Works for me.
We're gonna give. I wonder if some people are watching this and they're like, "Are they being serious? Are they beefing?" We're joking, guys. We're good friends. I'm going to give the hardest hitting comment. So this is for a Tough Duck toque.
Brady Tkachuk, congratulations. You want a toque from Tough Duck.
He does deserve
Brady Tkachuk, because I know Brady's listening. He's a big fan of IC with the Winnipeg connections. The Brady and Matthew Tkachuk's mom is from Winnipeg, Chantal.
Of course.
Right? So there's the Winnipeg connections, if you didn't know that. We're going to give the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment of the night to Noah Regnander. Hopefully I've pronounced that name right. Hopefully Noah is listening. The comment was at 11:51, so it's a little far back. I copy and pasted it here. It's about 45 minutes ago or something like that. Wins like these aren't sustainable, but can definitely change the momentum long term. I agree with that. I mean, tonight's win isn't something that you're going to try to repeat, but I agree. This could be, a momentum building win for the Jets that they can carry through into the homestand. So Noah Regnander, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, and Tough Duck will ship you out a toque.
There you go. Congratulations to Noah. You send the Ezzy an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or you can always just send him a Twitter DM at ICEzzyG on Twitter, and we'll get you hooked up with your toque from our friends at Tough Duck. Ezzy, bagels.
Yeah, we're going to give it to, I don't think we've given it to him or her. I'm not sure if it's a him or her, because a lot of people use aliases, right? So we're going to give it to Frosty Winnipeg. Frosty Winnipeg always has good comments, insightful and a lot of funny comments. So we're going to give you half a dozen bagels from Bagelsmith. So just send me an email, Ezra at Illegal Curve, with your real name, because obviously Frosty Winnipeg is not your real name, and head down to 185 Carlton Street and pick up half a dozen bagels from IC.
There you go. Looks like some big winners on tonight's post-game show. Congratulations to Noah and congratulations to Frosty Winnipeg. You are both recipients of some prizes from our friends at Tough Duck and Bagelsmith, respectively. In any event, gentlemen, it's been a very long day. It's been a very fun day. Always a pleasure getting together with you guys twice in a day. And then, Dave, you and I, of course, yesterday with the post-game show as well. So on that note, I think we can wrap this one up. Kenny and Rennie are up and running. So if anyone wants to head over there for some more post-game talk rather than, going to bed or doing something like that, then head over to our friends Sean and Ken and say that, tell them that Illegal Curve sent you. A big thank you to all of our sponsors, our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Bernstein's Deli, Zappia Group Realty, Tough Duck, Bagelsmith, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, and Rolly's Transfer. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Winnipeg Jets victors tonight by a 4-2 margin. My Kentucky Wildcats big winners tonight over the Louisville Cardinals. L's down to the Cardinals. That's what you got to do after that big UK victory. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until the post-game show on Monday night, right around 9 o'clock or so, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.